to the cream of the crop. 4th and 31 podcast, your one-stop shop for all things college and SEC football. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss 1 minute. I'm your host, part of the Killer Bees broadcast team, the Chad Bullock. And we're kind of on skeleton crew tonight. We've got a couple of co-hosts out with back injuries. So it's just me and the man, the myth, and the legend, Coach Bo. How's it going tonight, Coach Bo?
Man, I tell you what, if I was any better, I couldn't live with myself, and that's a fact.
What's that? I noticed something different. What's that? What's that you got on?
Well, it's interesting. I was looking around, and I found this Miami football shirt that I bought it a couple years ago on eBay. It's pretty cheap, just something to work out in. And I said, I'm gonna show a little support for the Canes tonight because Miami, they've taken this whole thing very low. They've laid low. They hadn't said a word about it, nor should they, because their team is in. Mario Cristobal made his case. His team got in, and Miami's getting ready to play a playoff game. Notre Dame is not. So I just wanted to show a little support for another team down south that will be participating in this year's playoff, as opposed to teams who are not.
Yeah, because it's ironic. When I got home, the last song I heard in my car was "Rock You Like a Hurricane." So that's odd. I mean, that's a sign.
Wow.
All right.
Well, I thought you were going to go Will Smith, Miami, but
that too. I think that was the song before. So you can't go.
Right before.
You can't go wrong with either one.
Can't.
All right, Mob. We're going to have a bowl extravaganza show. Well, I don't think 6 bowls you can consider an extravaganza. I think it's 7 or more. So we'll have 6. We're going to get into the Moore debacle, and we have the gift that keeps on giving all year round, Clark. The jelly of the month. I call that the Notre Dame saga. And then we have a little segment at the end that I just can't stand. But let's get right to it, Bo. We'll start with the bowls. And the Cricket Celebration Bowl. You got South Carolina State and Prairie View. I kind of dabbled in looking at stats and whatnot while I was preparing for the show. And I'm taking Prairie View. What you got?
South Carolina State. I mean, they've played in this game, seems like a number of times. They have a pretty good program for this level of football. I'm just going to go with the more seasoned team that is used to playing in these games. And, I mean, it's basically a pick 'em. The line was like 1.5. So give me South Carolina State in this game.
All right, fair enough. And I think we're probably just going to breeze through some of these. Now, and look, these bowl games, I done had a rant on them. I don't want to do it again. It pains me to say the name of these bowl games. The Staff DNA Cure Bowl. Old Dominion in South Florida. I'm going with the local team. Semi-local. I'm going with the South Florida Bulls. What you got, Bo?
I'm taking Old Dominion. They went 9-3 this year. They had a blowout win over Virginia Tech. You say, well, Virginia Tech wasn't very good this year. Yet they still have Division I college football players. They went to Virginia Tech and absolutely pasted them. I know South Florida beat Florida. So I guess that's kind of a wash there. But I'm going with the fact that I'm getting a touchdown. Well, I got it earlier in the week. So that line's down to, I think it's down to 3 now. It's Old Dominion +3, but I got in on it early. I took it Old Dominion +7. And I'm sprinkling up money line. Guys, that's my number one rule. If we take dogs in bowl season, we sprinkle, okay? I also like the fact that South Florida's coach is gone. And also, too, something else in this game. Check those lists to see who is sitting out. And I've always had a little theory on this about players sitting out. It's usually the teams who are favored that have the more players sitting out. Why? Because they have better talent. Obviously, they're favored for a reason. And they have a little bit more high-end talent. So a lot of times those better players will tend to sit out, not wanting to play in a bowl game and risk injury for the draft. So I think That's why the last couple of years, I have, ever since a lot of this transfer stuff and NIL stuff has started, I've really focused in on the underdogs in bowl games, and it's really paid dividends. I'm not saying I exclusively go underdogs. That's always going to be my first look. But I think that has a lot to do with it, because these underdogs, they're underdogs for a reason, and they tend to be your kind of a lot of your group of fives and smaller power fours, and they're more likely to have less talent, obviously, because they're underdogs, and they're more likely to keep their teams together to play. Usually when there's a big flip in the line, it's the other way. It's a big favorite goes to a dog. Like this game's already moved 4 points. So I think that's an indication of how many players that South Florida has sitting out. So always check that. But give me Old Dominion, sprinkle, ODU outright win.
Oh, okay. So we're 2 for 2 going against each other. All right. For our local bowl, the 68 Ventures Bowl, you got Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns against the Dollar General, Michigan Wolverine, Delaware Blue Hens. I'm taking the Hens. Who you got? What you got, Bo?
The book says to just take the 3, sprinkle, go with it. My number one play on this is the over. This should be a high-scoring game. Now, first of all, everybody knows the Delaware Fighting Blue Hen. That's their logo. Michigan stole it from them. Everybody knows that. The Fighting Blue Hen should sue Michigan for copyright infringements, but we'll get to that later. Lafayette's going to bring a ton of folks over. They travel well. They have been a long-standing member of the Sun Belt Conference. When I was working with the baseball team at South Alabama years ago, when I was an undergrad student, they always brought the best crowd over. Whether we had the Sun Belt tournament, played them in a weekend series, they travel well. Now, one of the best spots that they've always had was when they played in that New Orleans Bowl, and they'd bring 30,000 people, easy, But Mobile's only 2 hours from New Orleans. They're going to bring probably 10 to 15,000 people. Mark my words on that. So big bonus right there to the Ragin' Cajun. I go with the Ragin' Cajun for the win because I just think they have more talent, better roster. Also, too, one of the things that you notice about a lot of these group of 5 teams, these lower the lower level teams, when they move up and start playing that Division I roster, if you watch Delaware, they really ran out of gas the last 4 or 5 games of the season. They were good early on, scored a lot of points. Film comes out. They don't have the depth. They don't quite have the talent that some of these other teams in the Division I have. Of course, now they've got, 2-3 weeks off, so that could help as well. Give me the Cajuns for the win, but my number one play on this is the over. It's 58.5. I think points aplenty in this.
All right, so 3.
And the weather is supposed to be pretty good next week. It's going to be a little chilly, but overall it's supposed to be pretty clear and good weather.
Yeah. So if you're going to go to the game, bring a coat. And I think we're 3 for 3 against each other. This is great. Good TV. All right. Next.
That's right.
The Xbox Bowl, Missouri State, Arkansas State. I'm taking Arkansas State. Now, if this was just regular Missouri, but it's not. But I'll take Arkansas State. What you got, Bo?
Again, and this is another team. This is their first ever bowl game. Missouri State, first year Division I. Remember that rule that I just gave you for Delaware State. I will most gladly take the Arkansas State Red Wolves here. Give me the 3. Give me the sprinkle easily. Josh Flowers, okay, coached him in high school. Played at Baker. Playing for Arkansas State. Great kid. Want to see him do well. But Arkansas State's just they should have a better roster, top to bottom. Give me Butch Jones, because his players, as we know, they're going to be winners at life regardless of what happens.
Oh, the legend of Knoxville, Tennessee. All right, good,
yes, sir.
Good stuff. All right, next game, Myrtle Beach Bowl, Kennesaw State, Western Michigan. I'm taking Kennesaw State. I'm taking the Southern team over the Yankee team. Bo, what you got?
Okay, again, this is another classic. Just take the dog and the sprinkle, because both of these teams, I mean, these are the 2 lowest power rated teams between them. I believe the MAC was next to last, and Conference USA was last in power rating. but I would think that Kennesaw State would be incredibly motivated. This is their first bowl game. The last 2 years, Kennesaw State has just been awful. I mean, they have been so bad, and I think they'll be incredibly excited. But you take a warm weather team like, a cold weather team like one of the directional Michigans, throw them over to a nice coastal beach, could be a bit of a distraction. However, I do like the fact that Western Michigan's head coach was a Saban guy. Okay, but give me Kennesaw State. Let's sprinkle the money line. This is another game that should be fairly high scoring. And I would also, in these games I'm telling you that are high scoring, I would look at these team totals too.
Okay, good stuff. All right, last one on the bowl docket, the Gasparilla Bowl. We got Memphis against North Carolina State. I'm going to take Memphis on this one. What you got, Bo?
Yeah, line's 4.5. I actually normally, one of my rules, take the underdog, and especially in a mid-major when it's a pretty good mid-major. Memphis was not as good down the stretch. Head coach is gone. They're not as good at quarterback as they have been the last couple of years. NC State's had a pretty good offense all year. I think they will be able to move the ball and put points of plenty on the board. So again, I would look at NC State. I would look at that over, but I like NC State. I like to lay the 4.5 here.
All right, nice. All right, Mob, let us know what you think. I know these ain't exactly the most exciting bowl games out there, but if you're a college football junkie, then hopefully you'll be watching these, because I will, because I love these early bowl games, because this is like my favorite time of the year for football besides the conference championship games. I like the conference championship games even more when my team wins. We don't have to talk about that, but I do like these early bowl games because it kind of whets the appetite for the main course here in a couple of weeks. All right, let's move on to something that kind of happened yesterday and kind of exploded on, I think, every social media outlet known to man, and that was the Sherron Moore debacle. Gets fired from Michigan. You know, you're thinking, okay, he got fired, and then a little bit later, you learn that he gets arrested in Michigan. So it wasn't enough to get fired. He had to do the daily double, get arrested. Bo, what you got on this?
Yeah, I saw that when I saw that mugshot. I was like, "Dang, man, that's like the worst day ever." I mean,
Yeah.
So not only did you lose your job, you've just forfeited several $1,000,000, and now you have right now the most famous mugshot probably in America, and everybody's seen it. But there's two things to this. One, he embarrassed himself. You can go read about all the stuff. Improper relationship with a university employee, which is apparently not allowed at all by the University of Michigan. And then apparently, and again, I don't know all the details. That's why I'm speaking cautiously, because I don't want to be, I don't want it to just seem like I'm just trying to pile on Michigan here. That apparently there was some kind of domestic situation, and yeah, definitely not good for him. Now, here's the conundrum. Michigan's easily a top 10 coaching job, so they can kind of pretty much go get who they want. Okay,
Except DeBoer.
Yeah, except DeBoer. Let's hope that there's a lot of people coming out about DeBoer to Michigan. Yeah. I don't know how true that is. I mean, in this day and age, after the whole Lane Kiffin thing, I will never say, "Oh, that's not going to happen," because you just never know. I mean, all the tampering that goes on now. I was listening to Colin Cowherd today. I was listening to one of his segments, and he was talking about how, yeah, well, the SEC, they always just paid players in the back, behind the back door. Now everybody just does it in the front door. Well, the last time I checked, no team in the SEC had ever received the death penalty. SMU did. So let's be careful about that with all the sanctions that have been passed out to Big Ten champions and others. So I just look at this situation, and I look at Michigan as 100% a top 10 job. And I actually think this is kind of good for Michigan's football program. Now they can just get rid of the whole Jim Harbaugh stuff and flush it out and start over. And if I were the athletic director and I were making hire, that's what I would look to do. I would just clean house. I would just have everybody go and start over. Go get you a good reputable name, and start over. The problem is the conundrum is that Michigan can go have a pick of who they want, but I don't know that anybody's going to pick Sherron Moore after this. I mean, even if he just got fired for, they just say, hey, we want to go in another direction. I don't know how many opportunities he would even have as a position coach to go somewhere.
Yeah, this seems like a guy who's going to have to sit out for a couple of years and then maybe go like D2 for a while, something kind of under the radar.
He's going to have to go and get out of the spotlight for a while for sure.
He's probably 8 to 10 years out from coming back from, and that's saying if nothing happens, what's happening now.
Yeah, well, he was part of a national championship team. He was the offensive coordinator of a national championship team. One thing we've learned and we know is true about the coaching profession, you can get fired for anything and get a job pretty quick as long as it's not for losing. You could do all kinds of crazy stuff. But if you get fired for losing, you can forget about it. If you get fired for other stuff, but you've won, somebody's going to hire you somewhere. So I think it'll probably be one of those deals. He'll probably sit out for a year or two. Maybe he'll go to a lower level school and then watch. In about 4 or 5 years, he'll resurface.
Yeah, I just want to promise. Yeah, I just want to wait for all this arrest stuff to cool down, and then because you don't know how long that's going to take, depending on what happened.
Right now he's toxic.
Yeah,
I don't know how anybody could hire him for anything, given the fact that you don't know what's coming down the road.
Correct. Which kind of brings me into the second. Actually, we can go 2 different ways with this. We can go with coaching. Who do you think is on their short list? Let's go with that first, and then I want to get into some of the players they have. There's a particular player on there that I think Alabama could probably get. Coaching-wise, who do you think's on their short list?
Well, again, kind of whoever they want. I mean, Michigan's one of those blue blood programs that they're going to want to find a Michigan man. I get it. Totally get it. I'm not saying that in a bad way, Michigan. I know we take shots at each other and we poke at each other, but it's all in good fun, okay? We, in the SEC, understand Michigan is a marquee job. They can make about 4 phone calls, and one of those 4 is going to get the job. One of the 4 is going to take the job, and it's going to be somebody you know. I'm not exactly sure. But I promise you, they will have some kind of a tie to Michigan and well, I shouldn't say I promise you, because they did hire Brady Hoke, who refused to wear a headset. But my opinion is that they will go after somebody who has ties to Michigan, and I wouldn't even be shocked if they went into the NFL to try to find somebody, especially this late in the game when all the marquee names have already signed contracts and the ink is dry on those contracts now. So I don't exactly know where they go. They think they're getting DeBoer. I don't know.
Well, hey, okay. Well, why don't we do this? I'll give you some names. DeBoer, yes or no?
I'm going to say no, only because I really think that he wants to try to build something in Alabama. I do, and I'm not saying that Bama's a bigger brand name than Michigan. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just think he's into year 2, and if the whole thing doesn't work out at Bama, he will still have built enough at Bama and recruited well enough. If Kalen DeBoer gets fired at Alabama, it's not going to be for sending the program into the tank. It's going to be because he didn't win a natty. Now, he might be a 9-win-a-year coach, and Alabama says, oh, we can do better than that. I mean, I hope we don't have that knee-jerk reaction, but I don't think he's going to drive the program into the ground given the infrastructure they have and the way they're recruiting.
All right, what about Clark Lee?
Well, he just signed an extension, but you never know. That could actually make sense, and I think with what he likes to do and the power run game they like to use, I think that would actually be a good fit for the Big Ten.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm just going down David Portnoy's list, to be honest. He also had Deion Sanders, which I wouldn't.
Please, Michigan. please hire Dion.
Yeah, I tell you what, Michigan, ask Ohio State how they feel about that hire, and if they get happy, you probably don't want to hire them. Also,
No doubt. If your biggest rival when you hire somebody goes, oh crap, you've done the right thing.
yeah, and I think another one was talking about Kirk Signetti.
That could be 50-50 because, he told Penn State to take a hike, but Penn State's not the job Michigan is.
Correct.
I mean, Michigan, honestly, Michigan may be a top 5 job. It's top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Could be top 5.
I wouldn't argue with anybody if they said Michigan was top 5. I mean, they're a blue blood. They're an Elite Eight school historically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have tons of prestige. So yeah, I would agree they're top 5. Another one was
and the
Todd
fact
Monken.
that you have no, I was just gonna say the fact that they have boosters that are willing to give Bryce Underwood $12 million to come there to allegedly to come play. I mean, you got deep coffers there.
Okay, and then the last one I will say was Todd Monken.
Oh, interesting. I think he would be a really good fit too. I think he's a heck of a football coach.
Yeah, I do too.
That guy can coach. Now we don't know about him as a recruiter, but look, the name Michigan in that helmet recruits itself.
Yeah.
So, and I know Michigan has made some bad hires that didn't work out. I mean, so has Alabama. Everybody has. Not every hire works out for one reason or another. We wouldn't know about that, but I'd say just from a football perspective, guy can coach.
Yeah. All right, let's switch gears here now because you've heard some of their players going in the portal, and I've also seen some stuff on like X and stuff about Justice Haynes come on back to Alabama. What do you think?
I mean, this day and age, I mean, if now remember, Kalen DeBoer never coached him.
No,
Kalen can just say, Kalen could just say, oh yeah, well we're just taking a Michigan transfer and whatever. And most of the players he played with are gone.
Right.
I mean, it's a totally different regime. Steve Sarkisian I think he's got the best attitude. Kirby Smart too. If you get in the portal, stay. Don't come back. We're not even talking to you. But none of those coaches were there when Justice Haynes left. I mean, as soon as Nick Saban, he was one of the first ones to leave. Him, Julian Sayin. There was a number of others that jumped in the portal. So I mean, if he would want to come back, I mean, join the backfield with EJ Kroll next year and AK Deer and him and Hill. Sure.
Yeah. And then,
but he better be willing to take a reduced price.
We're gonna have to get a coupon or something. And then Underwood,
no doubt.
You think he's set to go back to LSU? Or I know he wasn't really there.
That's the word on the street. The word on the street. As soon as I heard that he was transferring, I said something's up. Something's up. I immediately the antenna raised. I said I wouldn't be surprised if they're getting rid of Sherron Moore. And then probably not 48 hours later, that story broke.
Yeah.
So, that all of that could just be tied in together. Because look, Michigan's got a young team. They had some pretty good recruiting, but they were very young. So so Sherron Moore's gone, and they were all his recruits. Michigan might be gutted.
Yeah,
and especially it's after the early signing period. Many of the big names are gone. I mean, Michigan's kind of in a tough spot here, but again, it's Michigan. They've got plenty of money. Again, the name Michigan recruits itself, so that they may do a little, take a little dip, but you get a good competent person in there. It won't take long for them to bounce back.
All right. Yeah, I agree. Michigan's too good of a coaching job and too good of a football program to be down, but I would think maybe a year until the next guy can get his kind of guys in there.
And then I will say this to all the Michigan brethren out there. And then if they go and clean house and get rid of all the Harbaugh people, I'll put you back on peg 0, and we'll be all good after that. Okay.
Sounds like a peace offering to me if I ever heard one. That's the best you're probably gonna get.
Hey, Hey, first and foremost, I'm a college football junkie. I love watching college football. I love watching good college football. You know, I would like to see. I just not a Harbaugh fan. Great coach, sorry person.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Michigan's got a top five helmet all time. Ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah, they do.
All right.
They absolutely do.
All right, let's move on to our Jelly of the Month club here, the gift that just keeps on giving the whole year, Clark. Notre Dame and their issues, just it never ends with this program. Now you got rumors of Power Four conferences trying to freeze them out of their schedule. But what you got?
I mean, that is totally amazing because I sent these guys in our group of text. I said, "Hey, we should start a boycott Notre Dame. Every time we do a show, every time we put something on social media, do a hashtag boycott P4 boycott of Notre Dame." Here's the thing. So now apparently they've gone after the Big 12 commissioner. They've gone after the ACC commissioner. They prevented Ivan Maisel, who's a local guy here in Mobile, sports. I believe he was a sports writer. He wrote a book, and he was supposed to go to up to Notre Dame and do a book signing. Because he was on the committee, the selection committee, they canceled his book signing. I mean, how much more petty can you get? I mean, that's the thing. And look, guys, I know we were pissed off last year as Alabama fans. I personally was not because I knew Bama was not getting in because they were not in the final rankings going into championship weekend, and SMU was. I knew right then Bama wasn't getting in. I didn't say much because I knew. Okay, but there were some people that were delusional. Oh, Alabama, they'll get in. But no, I knew they weren't getting in. Okay, yes, we as a fan base were pissed off for about 48 hours, and then we went on with our lives. Well, this stuff is dragging on for a week, and apparently now it's going into other conferences in all of Power Four. And I would say this: if I'm those commissioners of those leagues, I would strongly try to convince the teams in my league, A, not to schedule Notre Dame, B, buy out of those games. You can buy out of them. You pay a penalty. It's no big deal. These schools have so much money. Just go into that endowment. All these schools have billion-dollar endowments. Well, a lot of them do. I mean, heck, South Alabama's got like a $500 million endowment, and we've only been playing football, 10 years, 12 years, something like that. They can buy out of these games, and then who's going to be left for them to play? Group of Four, service academies, Western. I mean, think about it. If all of those Power Four teams bought out, Stanford, USC, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Purdue, all of them, who you going to go get? Arkansas State, Western Illinois, Air Force. No offense to my service academies. Love service academy football.
Or
that's no kind of resume to get into a playoff.
they can get that revenge game against NIU.
Oh yeah. Y'all can set that one up. Maybe you can play like at Wrigley Field or something. That'd be awesome. So I find it. I mean, where this could go, and the fact it's still going on, and where it could potentially lead. I honestly don't think any of that's going to happen. But if Notre Dame keeps on, it could. And then it will get very interesting if all of these teams, if they actually start buying out of their contracts, and then all of a sudden they're replacing those teams I mentioned with Division II schools and Sun Belt teams and MAC schools, and and I don't care if they go 12-0 every year, they're not going to get in because it's the their resume will not allow them to get in if they do that, because the group of five has got the resume for all of the group of five, and so they're not a group of five, even though they would only play group of five and lower, and they're obviously not in a conference. So then what do you do? That's the $1 million question. If this goes where it could potentially go, this could get really messy, and I smell lawsuits and I smell all kinds of legality coming.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with some of these Notre Dame fans is all of us think you're a top 12 team. You're one of the 12 best
Right.
teams in the country. The problem is the playoff ain't set up like that. Your
Mm-mm.
your anger
Mm-mm.
at Alabama and Miami shouldn't be there. It should be at the
Mm-mm.
two Power Five schools who shouldn't be there. This tournament should not have not one Power Five team. That's where y'all got screwed.
100% agree.
You know,
Yep.
the fact that y'all can't wrap your mind around that you lost to Miami, and who cares when it was you lost to them? Own it. Alabama's strength of schedule was light years better than yours. So your anger is misplaced. It should be in the committee. Now, if you want to say, well, we got the rug pulled out from under us, yeah, you did. That was pretty crappy. I'll
Hmm.
agree with you on that. But the committee was fixing the screw up of having y'all above Miami in the first place. But I would be mad too if I was in your situation because what they did was not right because Miami should have been ranked above you in the first place.
Yeah. Well, they lied to him for 5 weeks.
They did.
That's the problem. So Notre Dame fans, I do like Chad said, I will sympathize with you on that. Um, but and then at the last minute they pull the rug out from you. But as soon as Alabama went to that nine line, they kept Alabama at the nine
Yep.
line. I said my first thought. I said, oh boy, that means Miami and Notre Dame are placed head to head, and Miami should get in. And I said, I wonder if the committee will do it, and they did. And but you're right. I mean, it's because we don't. I have not heard any person argue that you shouldn't be there. Um, you didn't fit the criteria for the system, and the system sucks. And we've said that a number of times. So we're on Notre Dame fans. We are on your side on that part of it. Okay, but the other part of it is, just like Alabama and South Carolina and Ole Miss last year with 3 losses, even though they played better schedules, you just move on.
Yeah.
You just there's nothing you can do about it. And like talked about on the last show, Clark Leah, he was like, no, he's like, it's our fault because we didn't do enough to get in. Taking ownership for his team, and I really appreciate that from Clark Lee.
Yeah. And it's like the thing is with Miami that Miami didn't jump like 4 spots. Miami jumped 1 spot. 11 and 12 are reserved for the two P5 team or the group of 5 teams. So Miami did was just leapfrog Notre Dame. It's not like Miami went up 4 spots because you really can't count 11 and 12 because those are reserved for two teams that shouldn't even be in the stinking tournament. So Power Five, you or Group of 5, you need your own playoff because look, James Madison's going to get boat raced. Tulane's already been boat raced once by Ole Miss. It'll be 2 times. I mean, how much more of this Group of 5 are we going to allow? And then so we could get the other two best teams in here, which I ain't really heard BYU complain too much. And they were,
Yeah.
BYU has a legitimate excuse because I think BYU and Notre Dame should have been in this tournament. And just think about this for a second. BYU goes to Oregon to play in that first round game. How big regionally would that game be? And then you got Notre Dame going to Oxford. That would have been a great game. But, the system we have, which is bull crap, has to put in two teams that don't deserve to be in there.
Yeah, I heard a guy making an excuse. He says, "Oh, Alabama, Notre Dame's got a much better resume than Alabama,
No, they don't.
and and they deserve to be there over Alabama." And he says, "Besides, they scored 40 points on an SEC team." And I was like, "Yeah, but they gave up 41. What's your point?"
Yeah.
And they lost. And then his other point was, he says, "Yeah, but Alabama didn't score 40 points against anybody." Well, and
Well, we also didn't play Arkansas, did we? I
we
mean,
also didn't get to play Arkansas. We also didn't play Boise. We also didn't play a service academy. I mean, we can go on and on about guys. We can play this all night like Lionel Richie. We can just play it all night long. It is what it is. The system is flawed. It's better than it was last year because last year was absolute garbage. You had Boise getting a bye. I mean, give me a break. I mean, that was ridiculous. Boise getting a bye. Come on.
yeah.
But it's better than it was. Just keep tweaking it until you get it right,
Yeah.
guys.
So Notre Dame, we don't necessarily hate you. It's just your argument's all
No, no.
flawed. Your anger's, directed toward the wrong two teams. It should be toward the group of 5, which both of us are wholeheartedly agree that y'all should have been in over those two, not over
Mm-hmm.
Alabama and not over a team you
100%.
lost to. So there's that. Oh, Notre Dame fan call it.
100%. Actually, if I was on the committee and it was 1 through 12, my last two in would have been Notre Dame and then Vanderbilt.
Okay, so no BYU.
But that's just me. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, you look at Vanderbilt's wins compared to BYU's wins.
Vanderbilt's got one good win.
I just think that. Do what?
I said Vanderbilt beat one team. They beat
What'd you say,
Tennessee.
Chad?
Vanderbilt's got
Yeah.
one.
Well, the
win.
difference is.
I'm not disagreeing
Yeah.
with
Well,
you.
the difference is. Yeah. Well, the difference is they played much tougher competition week in and week out. I mean, we can have this argument to the end of eternity, and it's but that's personally what I would do. And if Vanderbilt would have got snubbed and BYU would have been the 12 in that case, I wouldn't have said a word either.
Yeah, and look, I don't disagree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Now, the perfect scenario.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Real quick, the perfect scenario was the one I suggested a few weeks ago. Is you might as well just go to 16, have 8 first-round home games in the playoffs, which would be great. Eight on-campus games, and then let's be honest, just get rid of the AP poll. You don't need it. This committee seems to kind of go chalk with the AP poll at times when they don't have to. The AP poll is obsolete. Coaches poll, obsolete. You don't need them. Okay? All you got to do is week 5, first week of October, you have your first poll. Set it up 1 through 16 and rank them that way. I mean, because I know as a society, we have to have a number by somebody. You have to have a number so we know. First month of the season, you don't, because you don't know what you got.
And speaking of which, you talk about numbers. Another good thing to look at for bowl games is unranked team versus ranked teams, and the unranked teams usually do very well against those ranked teams.
Yeah, but first month of the season, you're going to have unranked versus unranked across the board. It ain't going to matter. But like I said, right. AP is a dinosaur. Coaches poll, you're a dinosaur. We don't need you anymore. Just have the playoff committee do their top 16. That's all you need. We don't even need a top 25 anymore. Top 25.
Shoot, I would say go back and use the old BCS system, but just do it 1 through 12 or 1 through 16, whatever you want to do, and then it's actual. Everybody is assigned a hard number.
Yeah, and then
you're taking the judgment out of it.
Yeah, and then that way Notre.
And I mean, how many times was the BCS wrong? I mean, I think there was one.
Yeah.
Let's see, the year that Miami played Nebraska shouldn't have been in. Somehow that they managed to get in, and then I think there was one more.
Yeah, didn't Nebraska?
I think there was more. So twice in the what did we have the BCS for 15 years?
Yeah, and I think the year that Miami went and played Florida in the Sugar Bowl, they should have been in that championship.
Oh yeah, that was the year that they quote unquote Miami got left out.
Yeah, I think Miami. Miami has a excuse, legitimate. Well, I mean that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable team.
Yeah,
Butch Davis was the head coach, and then he left, and then Larry Coker came in and won one. That was the year they beat Nebraska.
Yep.
They made sure they didn't leave Miami out, and then the next year Miami lost to Ohio State.
Well, that's a different show. They got screwed at the end of that game. They should have had back-to-back.
Yeah, they did. That was pass interference, or what pass interference? That was the latest pass interference call in the history.
Yeah, it was.
But whatever.
Yeah, seems like the referee had time to knit a sweater, then he threw the flag. But if we do the top 16, then guess what, Notre Dame? All you got to do is finish in the top 16, and you make it. I think that's fair for everybody. As long as you're in the top 16, you make it. It's not that difficult. I mean, we try to make everything difficult. It shouldn't be that difficult.
Oh, there's no way it should be. In my opinion, the only reason that the group of fives is even allowed is because the NCAA doesn't want another lawsuit.
Well, guess what? The group of five can have their own tournament.
That's what I'm saying. Take the group of 5, take the top 12, seed them 1 through 12, let them go do their thing. It's good football. It's good football. The problem with the group of 5 is in every conference you've got a couple of good teams, and then like the back half is so bad. But those top teams are usually pretty good, and they're pretty competitive. But they're not going to be in these playoff games.
Well, I mean, if you want to have a stipulation that says a group of 5 finishes in the top 16, let them make it, and they'll probably get blown out in the first round. But that's
or you could do some kind of a play-in game.
I like a play-in game, and that would have been perfect this year. Let James Madison play Notre Dame. Let who was the other one? Tulane play BYU. Let them, they could have played tomorrow night. Had a play-in game.
Have a play-in. Take your last four and have a play-in for your last two spots.
I think
just an idea.
That's fine.
Just something fun.
And Notre Dame fans, we all know what would happen. Y'all would have beat the crap out of either one of them, and you would have got to go.
Oh yeah.
So
it would have been again, guys. I've seen Tulane in person. That's
those games wouldn't be.
Retzlaff's a pretty good quarterback. He transferred from BYU, but that they don't have the guys in the trenches to play with an SEC team.
Well, that's what I.
And we've already seen it once.
Well, that's what I can't
That's the
stand
thing.
is this stupid playoff system that we've come to. Bo, is there anything you can't stand before we get out of here?
I can't stand the fact that I have to wait a full week for more football because we've had just football. I mean, ever since for the last 2.5 months, it seems like there's been a football game on every single night. We've had weekday action. We've had Conference USA games. We've had the Sun Belt, Fun Belt. And I mean, it's just literally college football games every day, but on Sunday. And here I'm having to wait, and I can't stand it. The more college football, the better, but I want meaningful college football, guys.
Yeah. All right, Mob. Well, let us know in the comments what you think about the playoff system. I pretty much know what everybody thinks about it. It's not very good. But we love hearing from you. Let us know what you think. For Coach Bo, I am the Chad Bullock, and we will see you next time.